August 19th meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call a roll?
Ms. Andrews? Mr. Baroth? Dr. Carbone? Mr. Daniele? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Haney? Ms. Cayley? Dr. Quattro is excused. Mr. Rocco is excused. Mr. Tucciarello? Chairman Yolovich?
Here.
President Adair?
Legislator Baroth, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
Yes, there is. Please come forward when I call your name to address the committee. You will have 2 minutes in which to address the committee. Our speaker is Gary Puttup.
Good evening. My name is Gary Puttup. I live in Greece, New York. I apologize. I meant to speak at the earlier committee meeting, and my fault, my confusion. I came late. But as I see some of the same faces, I would like to make the comments, and I do plan on being back on September 30th. I worked for 30 years as a law enforcement officer. I was retired as a command officer in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and then after that as a professional constitutional rights advocate. So I have a lot of experience on both sides of the issues of laws, particularly involving things like harassment, and as the county passed the cyberbullying law. At that time I spoke, when the law was originally passed, about some concerns about it being overly broad, which I believe that it is. And in regards to some of the issues I heard during that discussion, one of the things that came up, certainly there's no question that the law was well-intentioned, but the question came up like, why haven't any arrests been made under this law? And primarily there'd be a low number or no arrests made under this law because it doesn't really fulfill any need. The New York State penal law covers all the acts that the county law covers, and actually in a more appropriate manner. Ones that aren't overly broad and do not violate anybody's first protection rights. This amendment would go a long way in helping remedy what the courts found that the Albany law, in which this county laws fail in that regard. One of the things I think we need to keep in mind is, again, because the law was well-intentioned, but this is a very real possibility that can happen in this law. Because in New York State somebody can be held criminally liable at 16 years of age, you could literally have a 16-year-old girl text another 16-year-old girl and call her a nasty, mean girl name. And if the parents insisted, the sheriff's office would have to make an arrest. And I don't really think it's the intent of the legislature or the law in this spirit to have 16-year-olds go through a criminal proceeding because of what would really be something that could be better handled in other manners. So I would, again, ask, and I realize my time is up, but I would ask, and I'm available for anybody, I would be happy to explore this further, but that I hope that the legislature thinks to amend this law because it would remedy this, and because the law as it stands is so overly broad that it could be misused. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's not signed up that would like to speak before this committee? Seeing none, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have the minutes from the July 29th, 2015 meeting in your folder. They will stand approved unless there's any changes made by the end of the day. Madam Clerk, new business.
Referral 15-0247.
Moved by Legislator Carbone, seconded by Legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0248.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarello, seconded by Legislator Adair. Excuse me, President Adair. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0249.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Daniele. Legislator Haney.
Mr. Chairman, through the chair, when a citizen wishes to make a deposit into an inmate's account at the jail, the accounts that are used to purchase these items, these commissary items, they have to go to the lobby off of Plymouth Avenue there. And except for a period of about an hour and a half or 2 hours on Saturday morning, which is the only time during the week when they can do a person-to-person deposit, they have to use what's the equivalent of an ATM machine. And the fee at that machine for each deposit into a commissary account has been increased to $3. Who gets that $3? Is it Aramac?
Through the chairman, the deposit fee goes to the company that manages the kiosk. It does not go to the vendor that we've contracted with, and it does not go to the sheriff's or the commissary fund. It goes to the company that actually manages, that's their operational expense to cover those kiosks.
Who is that? Through the chair.
Through the chair, the corporation is called Touch Pay.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Legislator Haney.
Well, I guess it's not germane now to this discussion, but
That's correct.
I think it's outrageous that the fee was increased 50% from $2 to $3 just recently. But aside from that, we talk in the transmittal that Aramac will pay the county a commission rate of 46%. That money doesn't actually benefit the county, does it? It goes into a trust fund, right?
Through the chairman, by law, that's correct. It does not go to the county. It goes to a trust fund that's used, returned, and used for the benefit of the inmates' rehabilitation.
And that trust fund, through the chair, that trust fund has built up a balance of several $100,000. Isn't that correct?
Through the chair, I'd have to ask you to be more specific at what time throughout the year you're referencing. There are periodic balances that...
County's financial statements, December 31, 2014.
Through the chairman, the answer is yes. It does build up a balance because we will pay on a contractual basis for some of the benefits that we provide the inmates. So we don't continually pay throughout the year, but we pay it at different times.
Through the chair, what's the lowest that trust fund has been in the last, let's say, 18 months?
Through the chairman, I will have to get back to you with those figures.
I'd appreciate that. The point is that I believe, Mr. Chairman, that Aramac is overcharging the prisoners. Now, I would perceive that it would be in the best interest of the county in maintaining order that certain things, such as writing paper, pens, and that like, that allow the prisoners to maintain some contact with family, etc. The reason I'm into this is because I've worked with people through my church that unfortunately have found themselves in the county custody for various reasons. And I think, quite frankly, that Aramac is overcharging. And my question is, how does Aramac set the prices for things like writing paper and pens?
Mr. Chairman, point of order. This is...
I'm going to give him a little bit more rope here because he is actually talking about the contract.
Through the chairman, sir, they actually conduct a market survey to determine the prices for each commodity.
Well, I think charging for Aramac to charge the same thing Wegmans and Tops charge for a pen and a writing paper is ridiculous, and it's not benefiting anybody because of the huge balances that have built up in the commissary account. And I think Aramac is mishandling this arrangement, and therefore I'm going to vote no.
Any further discussion? Legislator Andrews.
Through the president, I believe that in a previous committee, it was answered that there were 2 other companies who responded to the RFP. Is that correct?
Through the chairman, yes, that's correct. We had a total of 3.
Thank you. And through the chair, was Airmark chosen because it was the lowest cost, or what was the rationale through the chair?
Through the chair, because it returned the highest percentage for the inmates.
Thank you. And for how long, I'm sorry, through the chair, what is that? It returned the highest percentage to the inmates?
To the chair, the highest percentage to the trust fund that goes towards the inmates.
I see. And through the chair, through the comments that my colleague legislator Haney was just making, do you, in terms of the charges that Airmark passes on to the inmates, do you know how these other companies that responded compare in that area?
Through the chair, I wouldn't want to quote from memory. I'd want to come back with references for you, accurate references.
Thank you. Is that, through the chair, is that information you'd be able to provide before the meeting at full legislature?
Through the chair, if that's as you wish, yes.
Thank you. And through the chair, how long has Airmark provided the service to Monroe County Jail?
Through the chairman, since 2007.
And through the chair, who did before then?
Through the chair, I don't have that data. Yeah.
Through the chair, if I could request that that be provided before full legislature as well.
Through the chair, I have a correction. Prior to 2007, we ran it ourselves.
Oh, and through the chair, can you just refresh my memory why we stopped doing that?
I don't know as though that's germane to this contract. I think we should end it there. Any further discussion?
Not at this point in time. Thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I guess we better do a roll call vote.
Ms. Andrews? Mr. Baroth? Dr. Carbone? Mr. Daniele? Mrs. Draw? Mr. Haney? Ms. Cayley? Dr. Quattro is excused. Mr. Rocco is excused. Mr. Tucciarello? Chairman Yolovich?
Yes.
President Adair? Yes. 8-2, referral passes.
Next item, please.
Referral 15-0250.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0251.
Moved by legislator Draw, seconded by legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, what was the architect's estimates for each of these categories of service?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that information was requested in a prior committee and will be forthcoming for each of the contracts, but I can provide engineer's estimate for the aggregate of all contracts.
Okay.
The engineer's estimate for the aggregate of the contracts is approximately $46.5 million. Bids came in at approximately 6% less at $43.7 million.
Any further discussion?
Yes, one other question. Could someone, the referral makes reference to a $10 million contract with the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. It says for scheduling, procurement, delivery, installation, da-da-da-da. Could someone explain this arrangement? I thought DASNY was a financing entity. Could someone explain this arrangement?
That was through the chair, by the way, in case you're wondering over there.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, DASNY provides those services to SUNY for furniture, fixtures, and equipment.
Through the chair, and with all the other projects that we've done at MCC, which admittedly have been on the Brighton campus, not downtown, I don't remember any similar contract with DASNY for interior design and furnishings, etc.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, based on the size and scale of the project, MCC chose to have DASNY assist with that. In the past, on smaller projects, MCC will do that themselves.
So through the chair, this was MCC's choice to involve DASNY.
Through Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Do we, as through the chair, as the payer of these services, are we satisfied that that's the cost-efficient way to do it?
Through Mr. Chairman, yes, we are.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0252.
Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Draw. Any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, as I understand this transmittal, we're increasing the lending authority, the borrowing authority by $450,000, and we're buying a piece of property for $320,000. Why is there a $120,000 spread between the increased borrowing and the cost of the property?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, there are a few components to the overall capital project. As you know, the master plan that is underway, the purchase price associated with the acquisition, as well as various closing costs, property taxes, potential claims from the farmer due to loss of crops, and other contingencies.
So the extra $120,000 is all related to add-ons to the purchase price?
That is correct, related to the purchase price.
Thank you.
Legislator Broth.
Thank you. Through the chair of the administration, I just had a few follow-up questions regarding this referral. I noticed that the landfill in question closed in 1980. So am I correct to believe that we're currently in the we're past the post-closing period for this landfill?
Through Mr. Chairman, there's no formal closure period, but the landfill ceased accepting waste in 1980.
Yes. Well, I guess my question through the chair is, ultimately, as time goes by, who retains responsibility for determining or for correcting deficiencies as they occur? So erosion occurred here. So maybe 10 years from now, something else happens. Who is responsible for those down the road?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Monroe County.
So we will remain responsible regardless over the ages, correct, through the chair?
Through Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Okay, and finally, through the chair to the administration, am I correct to assume that erosion and such things is a common thing to occur after 35, 40 years after a landfill is closed and covered with vegetation?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, based on the way landfills were constructed at the time, your answer is correct.
Thank you. Then, by implication, through the chair, we have since we have better practices now that going forth with new landfills is less likely to be the case?
Through Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you.
Legislator Cayley.
I like having a phone, but it's a little obtrusive. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, obviously this was closed in 1980. There were different guidelines or lack of guidelines therein. Are we confident going forward that the amount of land that is being purchased here is enough to mitigate going forward with the improvements or the care that's going to be given to this landfill as it ages again?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, at this point in time, I would say yes. However, we do have a master plan underway that will give us further information to make decisions upon.
Thank you. And then through the chair, when would we be apprised of those findings?
Mr. Chairman, over the next 12 months.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0253.
Moved by legislator Daniele, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Legislator Haney.
Through the chair, what was the engineer's estimate on this?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the engineer's estimate, the bid came in 23% under the engineer's estimate.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0255.
Moved by Legislator Tucciarella, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, as I understand this, it's a 5-year period for a total of approximately $11 million. Does the money come to us in equal installments each year, or how does the money flow to us?
Through the chair, the money comes to us generally in equal deposits each year. In the first year of the award, there'll be an additional $25,000 for some renovations of space.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0257.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by Legislator Daniele. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, does Monroe Community Hospital have any on-site X-ray capacity of its own?
Through the chair, only dental, sir.
Only what?
The dental.
Only dental.
Only in the dental suite.
So there's no medical X-ray capacity at all at the hospital?
Through the chair, that's correct.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0258.
Moved by Legislator Daniele, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In recollecting back through the chair, didn't we approve a contract with Siemens Corporation 2 or 3 years ago to do this exact same thing at Van Laer?
Just through you, Mr. Chairman, the contract that you're referring to that was done within the last 2 to 3 years was actually with SmartWatt, and there was work done up at Van Laer and other Northwest Quadrant as well too. Many years ago, there was a contract with Siemens, but the one you're referring to was more recent, and that was with SmartWatt.
Through the chair, we had a similar contract like this 3-4 years ago at Monroe Community Hospital. Wasn't that Siemens?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, there was an energy performance contract with Siemens at the community hospital, but that went back to, I'm going to say 2006 or 2007, and that was for HVAC systems there.
Well, through the chair, if we've had a previous contract with SmartWatt to do this at Van Laer, why are we having an additional contract with SmartWatt to do it at Van Laer?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the original project was limited in scope. We put out, based on the success of that project, we put out a second RFP and broadened the scope for other county facilities. And we may expect, after what we believe will be the success of this project, even future LED conversions. But the RFP that went out for this particular project was based around the scope that's identified here within this referral.
Through the chair, as I understand from the transmittal, they're projecting cost savings of $2.9 million, and it says that they're guaranteed by SmartWatt. How does that guarantee work?
Mr. Chairman, the guarantee is actually not on cost, but rather on energy reduction. And with lighting replacement, it's straightforward. It's not unlike going to Home Depot and buying a lower wattage bulb. It's based on the certified wattage of that fixture. So it's fairly straightforward to compute the savings, and that's what the savings are based on.
But through the chair, I mean, how is the guarantee ever affected? I mean, do they pay us money? Let's say in a year that it didn't meet the guaranteed level, do they make a payment to us?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, when we've had other energy performance contracts, say with HVAC systems, things of that nature, where it's based on energy efficiencies and operation of the equipment itself, there's a measurement and verification that goes on continually. With light bulbs, it's pretty straightforward. You take one out, the lower wattage one comes in, you know the savings based on the wattage of that bulb. You don't measure and verify through a period of time. So they guarantee saying we're going to put in a particular fixture that's going to use lower energy, and we're guaranteeing that. We verify that the bulb that they say they're going to install goes in, and then we know that the newer bulb is more efficient than the older bulb, if you will.
So through the chair, SmartWatt actually isn't taking any financial risk then?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, they're obligated to install the equipment as they say they will, and that is their obligation.
Right, but they have no real financial commitment to us down the line. Because we know if you replace a 60-watt bulb with a 40-watt bulb.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion, Legislator Cayley?
Just a quick question on the fixtures that are going to be installed. If I'm reading it correctly, these are new fixtures that are being installed through the chair?
New bulbs will be replaced, yes.
Okay, no, well, no, that's not exactly what I asked. Are they installing, in any of this, are they installing new fixtures that only require the usage of the new bulbs that are energy saving through the chair? Let me back up. This may make it easier. I've had energy efficient ballast installed as an energy saving program at my business, and it is a certain ballast that gets installed, and those ballasts do not take old-fashioned lamps, basically. And we're not talking about bulbs. We're talking about most likely long lamps. Am I correct in assuming that that's what's happening?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0260.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Carbone. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, does this entail any cost to the county? I mean, are we paying the state of New York? I take it the state of New York currently owns the pump station. Are they giving it to us?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Okay. As second question through the chair, it refers to, the transmittal refers to other additional users. Are there other additional users now, or?
Mr. Chairman, there are no other users identified at this point in time.
But we anticipate there might be?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, this would make it possible if there was a future user who wanted to connect to the system.
Okay.
Legislator Cayley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just briefly then, does this affect in any way the service that is supplied for the industry campus?
Mr. Chairman, this is a pump station that services the industry facility.
Thank you, but it doesn't change. If this were previously, through the chair, owned through the state, now being transferred, this doesn't change it, or is there an agreement here?
Through Mr. Chairman, this does not change it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0263.
Moved by legislator Carbone, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0264.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by legislator Tucciarello. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0265.
Moved by legislator Tucciarello, seconded by President Adair. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0266.
Moved by President Adair, seconded by legislator Daniele. Legislator Baroth.
Mr. Chair. I have just one relatively quick follow-up question on this referral. I note that this referral it says, quote, is designed to extend the lifespan of the facility for like 32 years, which, from my understanding, runs to 2051 or thereabouts, anyhow. But if you look down on the second page, it talks about the county is agreeing to transfer and deliver various wastewater residuals up till 2028. And my question is, through the chair, what happens between 2028 and 2051 in terms of our disposal of wastewater?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we would need to renegotiate the terms for biosolids disposal after that point in time.
Through the chair of the administration, but we would, in fact, still have the wastewater to be disposed of one way or the other, correct?
Through Mr. Chairman, that is correct.
Thank you.
Legislator Haney, did you have a question?
I want to preface this by saying that we appreciate the briefing that the Minority Caucus received at 4 o'clock from the administration. It was very helpful and answered nearly all the questions that we had about this. The one question that remained unanswered, Mr. Chairman, and that Mr. Garland sort of bounced to Mr. Franklin, was that with these improvements in the rate schedule and the commission rates are doubling, et cetera, has a calculation been made as to what the annual bottom line financial impact of these changes will be? What I'm getting at, Mr. Chairman, is obviously is that the Solid Waste Fund has been running losses the last few years. It incurred a $2.2 million loss last year, and at the end of the year had an accumulated loss of $19.4 million. And I'm sure in their wisdom the calculation has been made. What is the impact on these annual losses going to be of this arrangement?
Mr. Chairman, through you, we have had discussions regarding the economic impact to the Solid Waste Fund as a result of this lease renegotiation. As it currently stands, this particular amendment will generate $1 million payment in 2016 to the Solid Waste Fund from Waste Management, and the enhancement to our royalties approaches $300,000, with the potential with maxing out our permitted tonnage to bring close to additional $500,000 to the Solid Waste Fund. Mr. Chairman, I believe it is important for me to note here for you that this lease amendment is just one important aspect or one important initiative of several initiatives that Mr. Garland and myself have been discussing for the past year that need to be implemented over the course of the next 2 to 3 years to bring stability to the Solid Waste Fund.
So through the chair, even with the $1 million what I'll call windfall payment that we're going to receive in 2016, it is still anticipated that the solid waste fund will be running a loss?
Mr. Chairman, there is no one magic bullet to fix solid waste fund operations. In a cumulative effect, this lease amendment, along with some other initiatives that are being put forward, will in aggregate turn around the operations of the solid waste fund.
So through the chair, is it your anticipation that this and those other as yet unnamed improvements will eliminate the solid waste fund loss in 2016?
Mr. Chairman, we believe it may be through 2017 that the solid waste fund will break even.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Any further discussion? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the previous committee, there was what was called a formal committee report that was offered regarding this referral, and I was wondering if at this point in time the administration has any opinion on how, or could explain, if they've seen it, how that report could affect the referral through the chair.
I don't know though. I'm not sure that's germane to this referral. I know I sat through the last committee too, but I don't think it has anything to do with the referral the way it's written. Mike,
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I've had the opportunity to review this proposed scale, and it affords protections on the lower end. In my professional judgment, it makes it a good deal better because it provides those protections on the lower end. While we haven't seen those historically, this would protect in the event we have lower tonnages below 375,000. So we're paid on every ton.
Thank you. Then through the chair, in our history, then you've said we haven't seen those tonnages in the past. So is 375,000 the lowest that we've ever seen, or in excess of that?
We have, since 2003, have been over 500,000 tons on average. Our 5-year average is about 657,000 tons. So we've been well in the upper range of this scale.
Thank you. And perhaps, Mr. Chairman, you'll afford me just a little bit of liberty. Could I request a few copies for the Minority Caucus of the formal committee report that was submitted? Because it pertains to this referral.
Were you given some?
No, just the members of the committee were given some.
Don't you have a copy here?
They may have taken them home. I don't know. I'd just like to request from somebody some copies of it so I can review it.
Mr. Administration.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the amendment is in the is at the previous committee, but I'm sure that we can definitely provide physical copies to anybody who would like to have one.
The report, right? Just to be clear, sorry, through the chair, not the amendment.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the report you were given at the last committee meeting.
The other committee members were given, yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
It's like I say, you got a copier over there. Legislator Haney.
The referral talks about increasing the, through the chair, talks about increasing the annual percentage take that the county will get to 6% and 8%. And currently those numbers are 3% and 4%, so it's a doubling, which is great. But the amendment, as I understand it, ranges from 1.5% to 4%. How is 4% better than 6% or 8%?
Mr. Chairman, they're really apples and orange formulas. What you're reviewing in the referral and what I presented to you today was a percentage applied to a gate rate that That amount then is multiplied to a band. Between 375,000 and 600,000 tons, that amount is applied to that. Above 600,000, the 8% formula is applied. What has been proposed is just simply a straight percentage for a particular ton. So there's no bands. So if 675,000 tons comes in of qualified waste, that particular percentage, 2.76, will apply to that computation. Whereas before, you'd have to do a calculation of a particular band with a percentage, and then the balance on the upper band and the 8% percentage on that. So they're different formulas. It's a little bit difficult to explain. What in the amendment, it's simpler. It's just simply a straight percentage multiplied by the actual qualified tons.
But with all due respect, through the chair, I'm at a loss how to explain 2.76% is better than 6%.
If I may, when we look at 6% and 8%, you are looking at 6% of tonnage between 375,000 tons up to 600,000 tons. You would take that 225,000 tons and multiply that by 6%. And then anything above that, you would then take those tonnages and multiply them by 8%. So you're only picking specific tonnage. On the new formula, what you would say is we have 600 tons. You look at how to multiply 600 tons out, and there is a percentage there. So you're getting paid on every single one of the 600 tons. At this point in time, the first 375 tons, there is no calculation for it. Those are just tons that go in without a calculation. We're calculating from 0 all the way through the maximum. So even though the factor of the percentage is being lower, the amount of tons that we're counting is increasing. If you do the math, each pound or each ton that you wish with the old formula and the new reported formula, you would see that no matter what tonnage you're putting in, the new proposed formal committee report from Agenda Charter has greater dollars to Monroe County because there's obviously two factors in the calculation. One is how many tons we're calculating, and the other one is what percentage those tons get multiplied by. You're getting 375,000 more tons in that scale. And to read it, that scale's real simple. Call out a number, Paul, whatever number you wish, and just look at, and take a look at the percentage that lines up with that and multiply the entire number out by that percentage.
All right, hold on a second. We're gonna stop this right here. That was a formal report that was given. It was not an amendment, so it's not germane to the referral that's on the floor at this time. So we're gonna quit discussing that. We can discuss it at full legislature or whatever you want to do, but it has not been amended. It is not part of this referral. So let's go forward with the referral the way it stands right now, yes or no. Any further discussion? You're voting on the referral that's before you, 266. It has not been altered as yet.
Point of clarification. Mr. Chairman, then, so a vote this evening is not taking into consideration the formal committee report, correct?
Right now, we're voting on 266,
Okay.
the way it stands.
Thank
And
you.
I would have liked to explain that at the previous meeting, but we didn't have the opportunity to do that because I wasn't on that committee. But that's the way I feel about it, and I'm pretty sure that will come out with the legal department is correct. Legislator Cayley.
Then prior to the full legislature voting on this, that will be incorporated into this referral or not?
No. At full ledge, yes, correct.
Excuse me, amended at full ledge?
Yes. Now, as that report was presented to the previous committee. I see no reason why the minority office or caucus could not ask for an explanation from the administration about what that report means between now and full ledge.
Just clarification, I see no reason as to why it was not included in this particular committee, since this committee came right afterwards, and we knew that it was there. I see no reason why that information wasn't given here. That's just my opinion.
Right, but it was not amended at the last committee, and as far as I'm concerned, it is not part of this resolution, so we're going to vote on this resolution now. Legislator Haney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote for introductory 266 because I think Mr. Garland and the administration have done a good job of renegotiating the arrangement out there. And what's lost in all this is the fact that we get a guaranteed place to dump our garbage for a long period of time, which, having gone through what this county went through in the late 80s about landfills, is a blessing beyond measure. Based on the referral and as written, and the explanation that we received at 4 o'clock, I will vote for this. But I have to comment that I am nonplussed by the fact that we had the courtesy of a great explanation at 4 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, the numbers are changing. I mean, that just, I'll leave it at nonplusses me.
Nothing has changed as yet, so we're voting on 266 as it stands right now. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Andrews? Yes. Mr. Baroff? Yes. Dr. Carbone? Yes. Mr. Daniele? Yes. Mrs. Draw? Yes. Mr. Haney? Yes. Ms. Cayley? Yes. Dr. Quattro is excused. Mr. Rocco is excused. Mr. Tucciarello? Yes. Chairman Yolovich?
Yes.
President Adair? Yes. 10-0, referral passes.
Next item, please.
Referral 15-0267.
Moved by Legislator Daniele, seconded by Legislator Draw. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next item, please.
Referral 15-0268.
Moved by Legislator Draw, seconded by Legislator Carbone. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, motion carries. Are there any other matters to come before this committee? Hearing none. The August 19th, 2015 meeting of the Ways and Means Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Ways and Means Committee will be held on Wednesday, September 30th, 2015 at 6 p.m. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.